God, I fucking love prowling around the downtown in that kind of industrial area of the city at night. It's post-industrial hell mixed with like a pathetic attempt at gentrification that the city is obsessed with, as if it's desperately clinging to some kind of antiquated ideal of, I don't know, if we have the right fortress of denial and a hybrid spirituality of new age nonsense and stolen, appropriated ghosts of cultures that we killed, somehow it can stand against the imperative that the desert places on you to face the darkness and the abyss and bitter driving wind, that it cuts and drives tiny shards of glass and sand in every memory, and the whispers of the dead and the ghosts of all the innocents that were rended open and left bleeding in the dirt, where we stand now, where we dance now, where we fight and ignore each other and break hearts and wreak havoc upon the psyches of the intelligent, where we dig out trenches and foxholes and I don't know, we don't even have the courage to hurl the fucking grenades ourselves. We've automated that, and we silence and foreclose and sort of rip the throat out of every possible the revelating voice, a Promethean exposure of the kind of Lacanian real, what Sartre wrote about in Nausea when Tan Rocantan has his little freak out and everything's absurd and weird and gross and makes no sense and there's no help for it and there's no there's no easy, facile, easy to digest way to discreetly and quietly dispose of it and never have to face it again. It's there, and I hate this phrase, but it is what it is. And people who say that have no fucking idea what that means. The idea that reality is relative, but that doesn't mean that you can escape any old way. A performer is not a jukebox, and this is a performance. Everything is performative, from gender to any kind of identity, and our identity is based on our perceptions, which is what manufacture our reality, and therefore we are subject to that reality. It is something that has rules and consequences and effects and a particular tuning and frequency that you must align with in order to successfully navigate it. And if you don't, well, you become alienated from the space in which you move. You sever the I don't really know how to explain it. You basically sever yourself not in two, but it's not like cutting a string. It's more like dissolving a particular binding agent or a chemical bond, an ionic bond, or a particular isotope, whatever they call that kind of stuff. Covalent. The covalence becomes not so much severed as they are no longer bonded. It's a liberation, but it's also a destruction of the thing that the two synthesized. And it's a dissolution of the very fabric, the very binding agent that is the catalyst for the materialization of the idea, the reality, the sort of climate and environment and matrix of possibilities and whatever in which you are living. So at that point, there's just a sort of, and then there's an absence, a very present sort of the remains of what was there, an impression that's not actually an indent or something sticking out, but more of a vague, nebulous, sort of ineffable effect, maybe a disturbance, it's not the same fabric anymore. It's missing a component that made it what it was. And then there's a stranger, an alienated one, the abject figure, and which is this new thing. And the remaining two polarized forces that were once bonded by the mediating force end up subject to the inevitable entropy that eventually catches up with us.